Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thankful Thursdays, our last Thankful Thursday of our birthday month. November has just flown by. I can't believe it. But thank you for hanging in there with us. Thank you for appreciating and watching and listening to all the things we've been releasing for you. We really had a fun time doing it, and we don't want it to end. So while we can't promise we're going to do things every day, every week, I think it's fair to say that we really enjoy creating content for you online in the social studio, and we're going to try to keep on doing that at least once a week for you. So keep an ear out or an eye out for podcasts, for more how-to videos, for more Thankful Thursday check-ins. I really enjoy taking this opportunity to update you about where things are at and perhaps answer questions you might have about the project. It's a really nice thing to be able to do. So thank you, technology. The other thing I want to say is thank you to everyone who supported us on Canada Helps. There's still a couple of days left. So there's still time. If you've been thinking about contributing and haven't yet, now's the time. Thank you to everyone who's donated either like a one-time donation or a subscribe to give monthly. That's amazing. I appreciate that so much. And as someone who subscribes to other organizations to support them on a monthly basis too, I get it. It's manageable. It's easy. And a little bit can go a long way, especially if you get a little bit from a lot of people. So that's one thing we're going to continue to try and encourage from everyone. We don't want to put anyone at risk. And here's the thing. If you've been enjoying this campaign, but you haven't been able to give, that's okay too. I appreciate that not everyone has money to give, or not everyone has a credit card to be able to give in the way we're asking right now. You know what? There's so many ways you can support the studio project, and that's just one of them. This month, we've seen a wonderful increase in arts and crafts material donations that have come into the studio. So that's another way of how you can support us. Thank you for that. Like fine arts materials, traditional art materials, crafts or non-traditional art materials. So that might be anything from costume jewelry to little toys to natural bits and pieces, rocks or, fence posts, things like that, vinyl, things that people can turn into art that aren't necessarily connected with art making to begin with. Those things are fabulous and our community members love them. So thank you for everyone who's donated in that way too. It's been a fun month, and we're going to keep introducing new ways that folks can support us or be a part of what we're doing or engage. We love it. We love doing this, so we're going to do our best. If you have any ideas, like I said, let me know. Okay, now on to the reason we're doing today, or the theme of today, rather. I wanted to take an opportunity to answer some questions that people have about the studio project, because we're getting emailed all the time from all over the world, actually, by people who want to learn how we do what we do, why we do what we do, how they can do something similar there. Now, you can't recreate any one art hive anywhere, and that's a good thing because every community is different. So every art hive or community art studio or art pop-up or whatever it is you want to do will look different because you're different and because your community looks different. So I think to start with, I'll ask people to set aside those expectations and just really, when it comes time for it, take the time to envision what you love, what you think your community will love, what's already there, what it needs. All of those things count. Don't try to be like us necessarily. You do you. That's the most important thing. And my favorite saying in the world that the Art Hive Network has, which I'm sure other people have as well, but this one stuck with me. Dream big, but start small. Dream big, but start small. That's the best way to look at it. And that's what we did too. We didn't start by opening a studio at 149 Simcoe Street. We started by taking art materials to the library, to the front porch or the neighborhood parks, like really ridiculous, small, simple things, places and opportunities where we could connect with people and talk with people, learn about them. We never said no to an invitation to go somewhere, to do something, to offer a free activity. We certainly didn't get rich, and we're not getting rich today, but it's enough, and it's a way of strengthening another kind of wealth, the wealth of, well, the other human beings, the human resources that we have. We don't take advantage of those as often as we should. But anyways, I'm going to focus in on the questions right now and know that there's some overlap and know that this is just a beginning. And there are so many other questions that I won't be able to answer today, but we'll see. It's an ongoing conversation. It's the beginning. So this one's a Twitter question. It's from Have Cheeth Will View at Have Cheetah Will. Hey, how you doing, Have Cheetah Will? What inspired you to do this project? That's a big question, so I'm going to try and answer it so succinctly. And if some of you are familiar with this story, those folks, you can tune out for a little bit now. For me, what inspired me to do this project? Well, it goes back. So essentially, art has always been a healing thing in my life. I think I've survived a lot of things I might not have survived because I had a way of coping with them that was creative and constructive. I had an outlet, I suppose some people might call it. At first it was writing, and I would disappear into worlds that I created. And then, strangely, for someone as shy as I am, believe it or not, I discovered acting. And that was an amazing experience for me because what acting allowed me to do was at first not be myself in front of people. I could escape into someone else's character. That's one way of looking at it. Put myself in someone else's shoes, work with people to create a world, to work towards something that was much larger than myself, which I think there is a piece of that is also a part of who I am that comes from my childhood and growing up in a fairly religious household. The idea of being of service. That was a positive piece I took away from that it's a good thing to be of service. And through the arts, I found a way of being of service. I found a way of learning more about myself. And as an actor, you're always learning about the characters you're playing and asking questions about the world they inhabit and why they do what they do, why other people do what they do. What if this was different? What if I tried this instead? Over time, magically, I learned how to transfer those skills into my own life to understand and make meaning of what I was going through. Maybe that's not the case for every actor, but I was able to do that. And I was lucky enough that I was able to take what I was doing for fun and for enjoyment and accidentally self-care in sort of my childhood or my younger years and end up doing it professionally as well. So now as an adult, I get to do it and get paid for it when I'm lucky. And that's an amazing thing. Now, cut to really wanting to be of service and getting bored and not being able to wait until the phone rings to get the thing in the audition for the part. I get bored very easily. And that service piece, I discovered that there was this thing called art therapy, and you could train to become an art therapist. And that was perfect for me because I could learn how I could really, really understand up to this point I'd only intuitively understood, and training to be an art therapist gave me some really sound tools and insight into the world of psychology and it gave me some more effective tools to work with myself and other people. However, I'm not cut out for a normal life, I don't think. And when I say normal, I guess what I mean is a North American normal, a kind of 9-to-5 job, and like we're a clinic or a traditional medical model kind of place. I was too much of an artist, so that to me felt a little stifling. So when I learned and discovered about the Art Hive movement in Montreal, it was like light bulb going off, the penny dropping, sunbeam through the clouds, all the bells ringing, all the things. That was where I needed to be. The idea of creating a space that anyone could access whenever it was open. You didn't need to sign up. You didn't need to register. You didn't need to prove you belonged or share what you were dealing with in any major way. Given the space, the time, the materials, you could actually use the space at your own time and at your own pace to do the work that you needed to do. That was really appealing to me. Because there wasn't anything like that in Oshawa at that time. So what inspired me? My own understanding that art is naturally healing, that people are naturally creative beings, that art is something we can all participate in, regardless of what modality you choose, and seeing that the place I was living in at the time, and still today, didn't have anything like this. There was, I guess, a gap that could be filled, I suppose. It was the right time and the right place to try something like this. And all of these pieces aligning, just listening to that instinct I had, that's what helped the project to happen. So, but the kernel, the basic inspiration, art heals. Art is magic. Art is magic, man. It's good. And everyone can use it. There's no reason why everyone shouldn't have it be a part of their lives. And there was an opportunity for that to happen here. So I hope that answers that question about what inspired me. just seeing people make amazing changes in their life every day now through art and creativity or learning things about themselves, it blows my mind. I'm so lucky, incredibly lucky. Okay, so the next question ties into the other question I'll talk about. And it's an interesting way of looking at it. And this, I suspect, is also coming from an American perspective, so bear with me. Are art programs better protected in Canada than in the United States? This is a good question. I am no expert in this, but from the folks I've talked to that run art hives in the States, and from a lot of artist friends that I have in the States, there are some things that are similar and a lot of things that are different. And again, this is just generalizing, because even in Canada, every province is different, and every province will be different depending on who's governing the province and what they see as the priorities of their communities and their values and things like that. So it can change overnight. But generally speaking, I think in Canada we're lucky because, to a certain extent, because art support tends to be built into our government funding. It's made room for a little bit more than it seems to be in the States right now. In the States, I see more independent bodies funding projects, individuals funding projects, not as many government grants. There's pros and cons to both. The benefit of having government grants here is that if you can show people what you need and why you need it and the impact it will have, they can help get projects off the ground that otherwise would never have found footing. But on the other hand, too, it can be a thing that makes you wait and hesitate and almost be a little too cautious in how you go about things. And sometimes that can prevent projects from happening, or it can prevent you from being able to pick up on opportunities when they present themselves to you. Again, not a bad thing, and an entire generalization, but I find, without the Ontario Trillium Foundation, I don't think the Living Room project would look like it does today, because they were the ones who helped us with that. The last 2 grants we've had have helped build the project to where it's at. But I think there is something to be said for just do it. Have fun. Don't necessarily wait for someone to give you permission or tell you it's okay. If you are in a place where it's safe enough to take a risk and try something where you won't hurt yourself, or you have people around you who are willing to help you do it and it's not going to exhaust you, try it. And that's more often than not what I see happening with my American friends. This sense of, I love this, I'm an artist, I'm not going to let anything get in my way, I'm going to do it until I can't do it, and then I'm going to find another way to do it. Once that first wall goes up, I'm going to find a way under the wall, around the wall, over the wall. We're going to create no matter what. And I think, so that's something that they can give to us, and what Canadians, I think, can give to Americans. Perhaps a little more of the map things out, study a little bit. Maybe put together some research to show to people. I think the skill we have is being able to help people understand the importance of a project, what it's going to do, to be able to explain it in a succinct and precise way, to woo people in, to engage them, to want them to come on over to our side and support it and to be a part of the excitement. So I think there's a balance between the two, and there's certainly a lot of things we can share with one another. That's the biggest question we get, the most frequent question we get, at least for Ontario, is how do you fund it? And it's not an easy question to answer. We do a lot of fundraising like we've been doing this past month. We have a Patreon page, which I haven't spent a lot of time this November talking about, but I'll probably share a little more about it in the new year when we shake things up over there a little bit. We do, anytime third-party fundraising comes by, that's great. Those wonderful people who write those checks with no strings attached. Creator love them. Those things help so much. But at the end of the day, and at least in Ontario right now, we are lucky that there are some grants that organizations like ours can apply for. Now we're a nonprofit and now a charity, so it makes it's broadened the access for us for funding opportunities. But we still have to do the hard work. We still have to find ways, which is not hard work if you love it. That's the thing. Writing grants, a lot of people are scared of writing grants, and I was too before I wrote one. I'm not afraid anymore. I see it as an opportunity to build relationships with people. And if you love what you're doing, then you're going to have a natural desire to share that idea with whoever will listen. And if you can see that on the other side of the grant, on the other side of that, these papers that you're filling out or the screen you're filling in, that they're just people there who want to understand what you're doing. And if they have a clearer understanding, they're going to be able to support it more effectively. What you're doing is trying to help people fall in love with your project the way that you're in love with it. And it's so much easier if you see it as a relationship rather than a cold entity you're enticing to give you cash. It's a relationship. So let them fall in love with your project as well. And yes, you might have to write a whole bunch of grants. I think that's the period we're heading into. I mean, 2019 will be we're starting off the year in between grants. We're going back to being an entirely volunteer-run organization for the first time in a few years. And we've saved enough money for grants. Saved enough money for rent. It means we're going to have to hustle for all the other little bits and pieces. And certainly we won't be able to pay ourselves as coordinators for a little while anyways. But that's part of the process. And I think artists have always been familiar with that sense of feast or famine and knowing how to negotiate it and travel those roads. We're thankful when we have it. We prepare for when we don't. And when we don't have it, we find ways to make do with what we have in ways that won't hurt ourselves or hurt our loved ones. We always find a way, as long as it's giving us joy. That's the piece that's important, as long as it's giving you joy. And that's a skill I think artists can share with the rest of the world, quite frankly. What does enough look like? And what do you already have that can be a resource to you? It's a good question. You can answer that one. Okay, thank you so much for listening. And this has been a long one. So thank you so much for hanging in and watching and listening, if you are still there. Thank you. Please, send more questions our way, and maybe we can get more specific about things in the future and have a live stream or a Q&A, ask anything kind of thing. But for today, I just wanted to share that with anyone who's out there who's maybe considering starting their own art hive or doing something similar or wanting to learn how you could create a more supportive environment for a creative endeavor in your community. It's possible. Don't give up. Remember, dream big, start small. And if it is an art hive you're thinking about, or even if it isn't, visit arthives.org, and they will have such amazing materials and resources for you to make use of. They're just great people. That's all I have to say about them. But check it out, arthives.org. And thank you to everyone who has supported us this month. It's been the best birthday ever. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you again soon at the studio or in the social studio. Bye, folks.